Hello and welcome to Old and New Movie Review. I am Caveats, and the movie that I'm going to be reviewing for you guys right now is Big Daddy. I just did Hubie Halloween, so I figured another Adam Sandler movie would be a nice, you know, addition to that one. So we do an old movie, we do a new movie, and I figured a good Adam Sandler movie would be a good addition to the horrible one I just watched in Hubie Halloween. Sorry to spoil the other one if you didn't see that one yet, but I hated that movie. So, was it good? Did I like it? Yes. Hell yes. Still holds up to this day. Love that movie. Very good movie. I recommend it to anybody who actually likes Adam Sandler, anyone who doesn't like Adam Sandler. It's not his usual shtick, not stick. It's not his usual shtick. He is immature, sure, but he is actually likable. He's not, doesn't use any funny voices, nothing like that. And his relationship with the kid and the people around him is actually really believable. He's a good actor in it, as opposed to Hubie Halloween or Click, or not Click. I like Click. What's that other one? Jack and Jill. Stand that movie. So I'm getting off topic here. Definitely a good movie. Go watch it before you watch this review. If you want, come back, listen to what I have to say about it if you want a fresh opinion. What I liked: the concept of a man child randomly getting a kid and it forces him to grow up. I like that. I actually like that. It works for the whole immature grown man thing. The concept of an immature man having to grow up because of a certain situation, that's usually, something that you see in Hollywood. It happens all the time. You can name tons of movies. Failure to Launch, it's stupid movies. But this one actually works. It's an older movie. I think it's 2000s, something like that. But it actually works in the execution. The kid being thrown into his life, it's not even his kid. It forces him to start to actually take responsibility for things in his life and take responsibility for the kid, which forces him to take responsibility for his own life. Oh, he's got to do something. He's got to do this. And it was a cool way that they actually executed it. The comedy is awesome. It's unique. It's clever. It's not on the nose stuff. I mean, some of it is. I mean, let's be honest. We're going with Adam Sandler here, so some things you're gonna expect. He's gonna yell. He's gonna do random things with his face. Make little weird voices and things like that. I'm sure, but those aren't the funniest parts of the movie. So it doesn't matter that he does that stuff because that stuff's just background noise to the actual comedy in the movie. And the supporting characters, they're all hilarious. I mean, you got the two friends that are in it that are now gay, but he wasn't used to them being gay, so watching people react to them being gay in front of them are just hilarious. The delivery guy is hilarious. Rob Schneider does a good job at playing the delivery guy. So the girlfriend of Jon Stewart, the character that plays the girlfriend of Jon Stewart's character that gets ragged on a lot by Adam Sandler's character, Leslie Mann, her name is, I think. Yeah, Leslie Mann. She is absolutely gorgeous. I forgot how pretty she was. I mean, she's still absolutely gorgeous, but man, back in her day, it's sometimes you see these older actresses or older guys, whatever, and it's like, oh, they look good now, but damn, they looked weird back then, or vice versa. She still looks good. She looks good all the time. It's freaking me out. So another thing I liked about the movie, he still acts like an adult, even though he's immature. I mean, he's eating cereal and laughing at cartoons, sure, but we're fully aware that we're watching an adult. He knows about law. He talks to people like he's an adult. He's not like the water boy where he's, stunted growth weirdo, or Hubie Halloween where he's a child basically trapped in a man's body. This is just an immature guy. He laughs at his friends getting hit in the head, things like that. Something relatable, something that any guy can watch this and relate to it. Any girl can watch it and relate to it. There's girls like that, absolutely. The movie also had some serious moments. I love the serious moments in it. They were so good. I mean, you do not expect to tear up in an Adam Sandler movie, but this one, I mean, you really do. Well, if you watch them back to back, Adam Sandler's other movies, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, and then this movie, you might not get sucked in as much. But if you just watch this one by itself, you're watching it, and the serious moments really suck you in. It really, you can empathize with the characters since they're so likable and so realistic. You actually start to empathize with them. So when something bad happens in the movie or sad happens, you really feel it. I mean, you could put yourself in the position of either of the people in the sad situation, and you really feel what's going on. And they did it very well. Whoever composed the music as well, like it just really catches the mood. And I was surprised at that. You know, you're watching an Adam Sandler movie, so sometimes you don't expect too much except for comedy, which, you know, it sounds like I'm, talking negatively about Adam Sandler movies, but I actually really like them usually. They're really funny. So, but this one, it's a nice change of pace too, where it's funny and an all-around movie where it has heart and serious parts that actually play. Another reason I really like this movie too is because it's one of those movies that really shows a bond between like a father and son, or a father and a kid, really, a father and a child, or just a child and his father figure. I think that's lacking in a lot of movies. A lot of times in movies, I mean, more often than not, you have an absentee father or a kid that hates his father, and then the father, learns his lesson at the end of the movie. It's just like, wow, what a negative view of fathers they have in Hollywood. This one, they kind of get along right away. I mean, they're kind of at the same level where it's like, haha, I think, cartoons are funny. You think cartoons are funny. And then it progresses from there. They don't have this angsty relationship, and they just get along and they grow to love each other more and more and more throughout the movie. And that's fantastic. I mean, it really shows a good father figure in this kid's life. Good, being operative some of the parts. He's teaching the kid stuff that he shouldn't know, and he's making horrible decisions for the kid. But the love and support and the being there and the actual taking responsibility shines through, and you actually see Adam Sandler's character do that, become that father or father figure. And I think it's lacking in recent movies. You always have a character that has, oh, well, I don't have parents, or oh, my parents were killed, or oh, my dad sucks, or oh, I had a drunk for a day. It's like, man, Jesus, can we get a positive, male role model here once? Just, something in these newer movies. Usually when you have a positive male role model, it's like they don't talk about his dad at all. They just talk about that specific person. They don't talk about dads at all. So it's very refreshing to go back and watch a movie like this. So that was what I liked. This is what I dislike. The kid, he's an okay actor, but he has his moments that suck. He acts like a kid. He's pretty good at most parts. He's really, all he has to do is just stand there and look cute. Deliver your lines and be a cute little kid that people can, be like, oh, it's so sad if something sad happens to him. You just got to be a cute kid. If you're a horrible, little weirdo kid, then nobody cares. Get hit in the head with a hockey puck or whatever the heck happens, nobody's gonna care. But this kid, cute kid, delivers his lines well. Does everything normal, but there's a few parts where like he's supposed to be crying, and it's very obvious the kid is just going, and it's just bad. But that's to be expected. You have a kid in a movie, you don't expect him to be the greatest actor in the world. The love interest is just decent. She's just basically there to smile a lot, to be likable, and to give the main character, Sonny, someone to pursue and to get his life on course. She's not funny. She really doesn't progress the story at all. She has a couple moments where she's a little, has cutesy moments with Sonny or the kid, and she helps him with his court case, kind of. But for the most part, she is redundant. She could be replaced by any actress. She could be replaced by, anyone, really. It doesn't matter, because she's not useful in the vein of the movie. I think her character is a little bit underdeveloped, which it doesn't matter, because who cares? Her character is a background character. But if you're going to be a background character or even a love interest, at least make them more than just likable. Like, the only reason she's likable is because she's just smiling and reacting to an already likable character, Adam Sandler's character. So it really doesn't do anything for us watching her, being like, oh yeah, she's likable, but so what? She's not funny, or she didn't say anything funny. The girl can be funny. She was in Mallrats. She was actually funny in that, but she in this movie is not funny, so it doesn't matter. She's just there. Background characters are only useful if they're opponents, or if they're obstacles, or if they're actually funny. To be a background character and to be a love interest, that's a hard role to do, and the movie doesn't suffer for it at all, because you focus on what needs to be focused on, and their relationship is cute. He's getting along with her, blah blah blah. But really, it's just filler. Every time he's talking to her, it's like you're waiting for him to say his next line, not her. And I think that was something missing. Whereas when Leslie Mann is on screen and they're talking to each other, yes, it's not a love interest, but when they're talking to each other, you're really listening, because Leslie Mann has some awesome comebacks, and their back and forth was just fantastic. So, on to favorite parts, which contains spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, honestly, if you haven't seen the movie by now, what the hell is wrong with you? It came out like 20 years ago. Let's see. I'd say probably my favorite part, one of my favorite parts anyway, is in court with the delivery guy, Rob Schneider, and the homeless guy, Steve Buscemi, when they're arguing in court at the end, towards the end of the movie. I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny. Steve Buscemi, he's talking about his dad, wanting to give him a crew cut earlier in the movie, that his dad was really military and whatever, so he goes and sits in the stands, or in the pews, or whatever they're called it in court, and the delivery guy takes a stand and he starts talking, and he says something about spaghetti and meatballs. He makes a little joke, right? So then Steve Buscemi's character yells out, like, yes, considering you're in America. And then they start doing this back and forth, which I thought was funny. It's a normal funny back and forth, ha ha ha. But Steve Buscemi, the homeless guy, he reacts. He had nothing else to say. He had no other comebacks to the guy insulting him. So Steve Buscemi, the homeless guy, he just goes, stop yelling at me. And he freaks out. And this other guy starts laughing. I mean, it was hilarious. The way that they did it was so funny. You could relate to it too, because people in your life that they have nothing else to say, so that all of a sudden they'll just play the victim and be like, shut up, you're hurting my feelings. It was so funny. That was good. And I'm sure, if you've seen the movie, you know what part I'm talking about. It sticks out in your mind. Other parts you forget that even existed in the movie, but that part sticks out in my mind. And everyone I talk to, they remember that part. The part at the beginning with Corinne, Leslie Mann's character, the part with Corinne saying hi to the kid for the first time, that was fantastic. I thought it was so funny. She says hi to the kid. The kid's shy and doesn't say anything. So she asks like, "Oh, is he okay? Is something wrong with him?" And Adam Sandler's line is just so good. Yeah, he's fine. He just doesn't like you. It's so good. She gets so offended. Like, what the hell? Like, you don't expect that to happen. You don't expect them to say that, and that's one of those unexpected jokes that's actually funny. Whereas you don't want them to say something random that is unexpected, that doesn't fit in the thing. If she said, is he okay? Whatever. Says, yeah, he just came back from China. Or, something that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's unexpected, but that doesn't relate to the situation, so it's not funny. What he said was actually hilarious. Yeah, he just doesn't like you. Leave us alone. It was hilarious. It was awesome. No, they're hilarious. See, I'm talking about all the funny parts. But, I mean, favorite parts in a comedy, you would expect them to be, comedic. So, another part, when they're playing the card game, and the kid always says, I win. Like, he doesn't matter what cards he has, he always says, like, it's like, I win. I got a 2, a 4, a 12, and whatever. There's no 12 in cards, but oh well. So they're playing a card game, and the kid always wins no matter what. So later in the movie, they're playing it again. And the delivery guy is there, Rob Schneider's there, and the kid says, I win. What? I just had a hand just like that. Sonny's talking to him. I just had a hand just like that. Why didn't I win? It's like, oh, because I win. And then immediately the delivery guy just goes, this is bullshit. Different cards every time. He still win. He just doesn't. He has no chill when it comes to playing against a kid. Like he doesn't. Should be same set of rules for everyone, no matter what age. It's just hilarious the way he reacted. You do not expect him to react like that, but it makes sense for the scenario. It was just fantastic. Rob Schneider in that part too. It was so good. He just doesn't understand normal behavior, so he reacts like a person would that doesn't understand normal social cues, like that yelling at a kid. This is bullshit. It's just so funny. Now, getting into another spoiler here. Obviously, this whole thing is spoilers, but when Sonny gets the kid taken away from him, Julian, I think the kid's name is Julian, yeah. So when Julian gets taken away from Sonny, it is a sad part. The music is just over the top too sad, and they just were having so much fun, and in the whole movie, they're having so much fun together, getting closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden the social services guy shows up and you hate this guy seriously because he's taking this kid away from Sonny. It's seriously, you have so much anger towards that guy. You're like, what a jerk, what a friggin' whatever. You want to yell at the TV like, screw this guy. But it's it's just the situation that they've created. They're so good together, they're so fun, and they're having a good time. This guy's the guy who ruins it all. It's just not his fault. Sonny took the kid under false pretenses, whatever, it makes sense. But so the whole part, the kid is pleading to stay, and it just breaks your heart because it's a relatable situation. You can understand that happens in the real world. You could relate it to somebody that you actually love and you care about. Can you imagine them being taken away? Or you could relate it to yourself. Maybe you've had situations like that where you didn't want to be taken from what you loved, and he's just begging to stay. Please, I won't play the kangaroo song anymore. Saying things that he just doesn't understand the situation. And they did the part so well. They wrote the kid very well, especially in this part, that is what a kid would say. A kid wouldn't say like, please, I don't want to go, I want you to be my dad, and blah blah. So he doesn't understand the situation because he's a kid. He thinks he's getting sent away because of something he did. And it's very, very well done, and that's just one of my favorite parts, even though I hate the part because it's very sad. To this day, it's still, I could watch as long as you watch the whole movie. If you just go and watch that part, obviously you're not going to have any background. You're not going to, remember all the things that led up to it. And the lead up really makes you sad at that part where everything's so great and so happy, and then gets the kid taken away, and then it's just heartbreak. Another thing I liked, not even a part specifically, but I might be in the minority here, but I actually liked that Sonny did not get custody of the kid. You might be disagreeing and be like, no, I wish he was the dad at the end. Fine, I can understand that, but it made it more realistic. I mean, he did kidnap the kid. It made sense. Like, you'd be watching the movie at the end and be like, what? That doesn't... yeah, I'm glad they went together, but Jesus, this is clearly movie world, because not a chance in hell would this guy not be in jail and not what the judge said. The fact is that you kidnapped this child. Not only should you not get custody, you should be in jail. Take him away. That's exactly right. So if we're supposed to be sucked into this world and actually, care about these characters and, have empathy and think about them in a real world situation, having him gain custody at the end of the movie, I mean, that really wouldn't make sense. I mean, he had no job, no nothing. Yeah, okay, he convinced his dad. So what? Like, I'm glad that they did it that way because that makes more sense. Jon Stewart standing up and saying, I refuse to press charges. Irrelevant because, irrelevant in real life because the judge would be like, okay, he still defrauded social services, took the kid, kidnapped the kid. It doesn't matter if you say that you don't want to charge him. You weren't in custody. You didn't have custody right then. Social services did. But that's going a little too far into it. It is still movie world. There's only so much you can actually ignore in movie world. It has to be realistic to a point. And I think giving him custody of the kid would not have been even movie world realistic. It would have really been out of it, where it's like, yeah, the ending was, a happy ending, but it was good. This ending was actually realistic and happy. He's still in the kid's life. He's Uncle Sonny, or I think he just calls him Sonny. But it still, it gave Jon Stewart and Leslie Mann's character a kid, and I was happy for them. And they were nice characters; they were good. So, I think I liked that ending. People might disagree with me. I understand that because you're watching the whole movie, Sonny and this kid be together, so you're assuming that they're going to be together at the end, and that would be the happy ending. But I disagree. I think still having him in his life and learning how to be an adult and having his own kid and have that be like a I don't know, like a starter kid. Not at the expense of the other kid. The other kid still had a good life or whatever, but I actually liked it. So, hated parts. Hated parts is hard because this movie is really likable almost everywhere. However, I did find a couple parts. The girlfriend's ugly haircut at the end of the movie, I absolutely hated it. I'll just get that out of the way right now. All of a sudden, he shows up at the end, like, a year later or something, whatever. They go to Hooters, and the girlfriend, the love interest is there, and she's got a baby. So apparently he had a baby too. Pretty quick, don't you think, too? I don't know if it was a year later. It had to be like only a year later. But he just met that girl. Like, we seen him meet the girl in the movie. All of a sudden, yeah, he's in love with her, finds love at first sight kind of movie, drama, whatever. Then they have a kid, like, immediately. It's crazy. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care about that. That's movie world nonsense. But the haircut, all of a sudden, she's got this boy haircut. Like, she's got really short hair. Like, it barely touches her ears. I'm like, what the hell happened to her? She was kind of cute before. What is that? It bugged the hell out of me. It was unnecessary. Anyway, but she looked like a boy. I don't know. Other hated parts, I guess the kid, like I said, he had a couple parts where he's supposed to be crying like in McDonald's, and he's supposed to be crying like he's all upset, and they should have did a couple retakes or something. Maybe they didn't want to hurt the kid's feeling, like, hey, you can't cry worth of shit. But I don't know what they did, but the kid was just it's like watching a kid just groan. It's like fake cry. It was a really fake cry. Maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they wanted the kid to fake cry, like, oh, he's just fake crying. I don't know. I hated it. I wanted that kid, like, somebody slapped that kid. Other than that, I couldn't really come up with any hated parts. I mean, and even those parts, it's just disliked. It doesn't ruin the whole movie for me. I didn't like hate the movie because of it, and I did hate the girl's haircut, and I just disliked that kid's crying, fakeness. But other than that, the movie is great. Like, it hits every mark. It's sad, it's happy, well, I guess there's an element of horror. If you're a guy, all of a sudden, somebody knocks on your door and all of a sudden you have to take care of this kid. Yeah, that's a bit of horror, I guess. For the most part, the movie it hits every mark that it's supposed to hit, as opposed to other movies, even Adam Sandler movies where it's like, it's supposed to be funny, but isn't. It's supposed to be heartfelt, but isn't. This movie was everything that it was going for. And that's refreshing, especially in movies nowadays. They go for something like epic or something like that, and it falls short. So a favorite character would obviously be Sonny. He was just hilarious in this movie. The lines he had, the back and forths he had with Leslie Mann's character, the reactions he had to the kid, the yelling parts were even funny. Usually Adam Sandler yelling parts are not too funny. It's just, oh, he's yelling again, ha ha ha. This one actually made sense. The kid's bugging him about something like kangaroo song. And he just go, all right. You don't expect him to yell at a kid, so it's funny. He's a likable Adam Sandler character. He's not one of these characters like Jack and Jill where you're like, oh my God, somebody just bust in and shoot them both in the kneecaps. I'm so tired of them. This character you want to hang out with. Like, you'd want to be in this guy's life. He's funny. He's a good, funny guy. But at the same time, he's immature and, he doesn't have his life together, but at least it's not you. So it's fun to watch him. It's that type of character, and it really works. The worst character would have to be probably the love interest, just because she doesn't have a lot to do. She's just the love interest. The way they wrote her, it wasn't like Leslie Mann's character where she actually has some back and forth with him. It was just, I'm a workaholic, and you're teaching me how to, let my hair down and be a fun person. But she didn't really seem to have that much fun. I don't know. It was more about the kid and Adam Sandler's relationship than it was about their relationship. It's like they just threw in a love interest just to have something else to throw him into the adult pool. She wasn't funny or particularly memorable. I mean, if you watch this movie and you made a list of the characters that you liked, I guarantee you she'd be at the bottom because there's so many other likable characters and good characters. So even the social services guy, he's not likable or anything, but his character makes sense for what the movie needed him to do. So it made sense for his character to come in and ruin the fun, or even the lawyers against him, even the dad, complaining at Sonny and being a jerk all the time. That made sense and moved forward the movie a lot. The love interest just was there. It wasn't anything great. It wasn't anything horrible. It was just mediocre. And I think that's why I choose her as the worst character. Not to say that like she's horrible or anything, but in a movie of great characters, you have to choose one that's the worst. I'd choose her. Movies to compare it to, I'd pick Click. I'd like to Click. The reason I pick Click specifically is because it's another funny movie. Obviously, Adam Sandler is also in that one, but it's a funny movie that has heart too. So it has very sad moments that actually really work. The soundtrack, all of that, help that. But you learn to love this character and the hijinks they get into and blah blah blah, all this stuff. But then when something sad happens to them, you really feel for them because you could relate to this character because he's like an everyman type of character. So Click is one that I would compare it to, and the other one is Liar Liar. So you can like Jim Carrey's character in that and relate to him because he's just a normal everyday man, and he's dealing with stuff, not being able to see his son and stuff doesn't really matter to him at the beginning, but it matters to him at the end. And I think that father-son bond, along with comedy and likability and things like that, really transfer well between that movie and this movie. And I think if you liked Liar Liar, you would like this movie. And if you liked Click, most likely you'll like this movie. But Liar Liar is definitely the one that I would say compares to it the most. That if you liked Liar Liar, you're going to like this movie. The rating that I gave this one was Iron Man. I rated it Iron Man because it's clever, it's funny, it hits all the marks. It's not something that you see every day. It's new, it's different. So I remember when Iron Man, the movie, the first one came out, it just blew everyone away because we weren't used to a superhero like that. It was snarky, it was different, it was inventive, and that's what this movie is. It's inventive in a way that still keeps it relatable. It still keeps it grounded. And I think that it still holds up. So you could watch Iron Man right now. You could watch the movie Iron Man. The character still holds up. The acting still holds up. That's not really relevant to the character rating, but I think this movie has to be an Iron Man because of the way that they handled the scenarios, the way that they handled the concept. It was different than other movies handle things, and it was more realistic than other movies handled things, and that's why I gotta say it's an Iron Man. So that's my review of Big Daddy. I hope you guys liked it. If you didn't, if you did, leave a comment below, or you could email me at oldandnewmoviereview@gmail.com. Next week, I will be reviewing 2 different movies, hopefully an old, hopefully a new. Sometimes there's not enough good new movies, or at least, socially known movies, I guess. Why do a review about that movie? Because who cares? Nobody knows about it type of movies. I want to do ones that actually people have known about and people I actually want to go see. So I'll try and pick an old one, pick a new one, do 2 reviews each week, maybe step it up if I have the time, and do a couple more. So this is Caveats from Old and New Movie Review, and I'll see you guys later.